Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 24th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. That's right. It's the day before the big one. If you celebrate, overall, happy holidays in general. Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm doing good. I'm in a sort of spirit, if you will. I feel like I'm in a good place, good spot. We love to see it. We love to feel it. But yeah, today was really chill, very relaxed, no work. We love to see it. Got up early, or at least, early enough, morning time for sure. Did my little gym session. That was good. A bit of back update, back gate. I feel like we're getting somewhere. Like yesterday, I was definitely kind of having a little bit of like an internal bum out freak out. Like, how long is this pain gonna last? This is crazy. Yada yada yada. But it still had been feeling better, and I'm like, it's okay, Isaiah. You just got to give these things time. Patience is not my virtue. But today, it's been better. Still kind of doing light reps and such at the gym, kind of leaning more on the cardio. So, it hasn't been as like high impact as I'd like it to be, but overall it's still been a good gym session. Also, it was like a bittersweet day for me because the Planet Fitness is going to be closed for Christmas, which is totally fair. I completely get it. I'm glad that they all get a day off to relax and be with their families, friends, do their thing. But yeah, it's going to be the official end of my workout streak. And I think for some reason in my head, that kind of bugs me, makes me a little bummed, a little sad. But, also just the idea of like not being able to work out, like just, I feel like I'm going to be like the Pablo Escobar narco meme where I'm just like standing in various parts of my apartment, just kind of waiting, just kind of chilling. But, overall, I'm really, once again, giving myself my attaboys. I'm really proud of myself. We really had a goal in mind and we just stuck to it, and I'm glad that I did because I feel like I've learned a lot about just like ways to kind of make working out as effective as I can, or more effective at least. And yeah, it's just been cool to really test myself and really rise to the occasion, so to speak. So, and also, it's not the end of anything. I plan on continuing this streak after Christmas. And, hopefully we can have a bit of a longer streak. That would be great. I think that's the goal going into 2025. At least one of them. I'm definitely at that phase now where I'm thinking like, hey, what's the plan? What are I don't really like calling them resolutions anymore, but what are our goals? What are our motivations? Like, what are we working on? What are we working towards? I'm starting to think about that stuff for sure, for sure. But yeah, so like I said, it's been a relaxing day. It's been a chill affair. Let's see, food corner last night. We made the Mexican beef and rice bowl. Went over pretty well. Tortillas, tortilla chips, white rice, bacon. Yeah, the whole nine, whole kit, caboodle. So yeah, that's the food corner. That's my day. Let's go ahead and do the startup, and we'll get into some news. Also, I have a bit of corrections corner, but we'll save that after the break, or the startup, I should say. All right. So, I just wanted to do a correction. I put it in the bio of the last episode, but you know, I fucked up. Mea culpa. A president cannot pardon someone for a state crime. So, essentially, I had mentioned Biden had is it I don't know. The words escaping me. It's not commissioned. It's not pardoned either. But essentially, took him off of death penalty, put him commuted. That's the word I was looking for. Found it. Commuted. I believe 37 death row inmates to life in prison. Obviously, there's still like I don't want to say fallout, but people are still talking about it. I've heard mixed reviews out of like family members and stuff like that. Both sides of the fence about it. But I had gotten really riled up in the previous episode because of the fact that I believe it's Marcellus Williams. He didn't get pardoned in that situation, but that's not on Joe. That's not on old Joe. I had a Biden moment, actually. I should have known that. And, that's a mistake. But still, fuck the governor. Still, fuck Joe Biden. At the end of the day, this guy was, at one point, in the legal world doing shit, and then becomes a senator, lawmaker, whatever, and is trying to advocate for like the most draconian fucking penalties for people. So once again, fuck this guy's legacy. Him waiting to the last minute just to say, oh, I'm gonna commute these fucking guys and gals, whatever the fuck, and I'm saving them from Trump. Once again, like, bro, okay, cool, whatever. Can you just get out of here? So yeah, I definitely though did want to get a correction for that. Just say oopsie daisy. But yeah, let's move on to our first story from the Associated Press. What we know about the death of a woman who was set on fire in a New York City subway train. Oh, a little static here. Okay. The man accused of lighting a woman on fire on a New York City subway and fanning the flames as she burned to death made his first appearance in court on Tuesday, while authorities were yet to publicly identify the victim. Sebastian Zepeta, 33, was arraigned on murder and arson charges on Tuesday afternoon in a Brooklyn court, where he was remanded back to custody. He did not enter a plea, and his lawyer did not speak to reporters assembled inside the courthouse. Authorities allege Zepeta, who federal immigration officials say is a Guatemalan citizen who entered the U.S. illegally, calmly approached the woman aboard a stationary F train at the Coney Island Stillwell Avenue station in Brooklyn on Sunday morning and set her clothing ablaze. Now, I believe, just from what I've surmised so far, they haven't released a name of the victim, but she was sitting in a chair, is what we know. I kind of am led to believe that she would have had to have been asleep or something to that effect. And Zepeta takes advantage of this moment and decides that he's going to light her clothes on fire, and then proceeds to use his shirt to fan the flames of said fire. Then he goes and sits on a bench and watches everything unfold. So he's just there chilling, and cops come, they smell it, police, 911 gets called, yada, yada, yada. And he was there for that. Then he proceeds to leave. He gets away. But I believe it was 3 people go up and tell cops, are like, I think I saw that guy. Like, I think that's the guy who did it. They find Zepeta. And even Zepeta, I think, admits to saying, hey, yeah, that's me in this picture. That's me in this picture when he's talking to police. So it's very incriminating, very damning. I guess obviously you still got to slap an allegedly on there. But it looks to be that this is more or less like, hey, point to point. But there's so much now that is going to kind of come of something like this, because we're talking about someone who is migrated here illegally, and it's just going to become a cultural kind of culture war touchstone that you're going to see conservatives have to plant this flag over and see, they're coming over and they're doing all this crime, even though crime is down in New York. It's been going down. That being said, you still have an uptick of incidents on the subway, and I think that can kind of definitely highlight a fear and put people on edge in New York City. I do understand that. I do get that is a cause and effect situation. But that being said, you're going to see conservatives take this hysteria and say, see, this is why we have to have better borders, so that we don't have people coming in from Mexico or wherever and killing our women and children and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, you don't care about any of these people involved. You never do. At the end of the day, you're using this shit to try to make some kind of point, to try to distract people from doing things. And you can't even solve said problem this way, by the way, and you know that. But that being said, it's still going to be used as such. Obviously, that doesn't take away from the fact that someone did commit a murder, and that is very fucked up. That's very sad, and it's definitely going to be something that I want to try to keep track on and, keep everybody updated on, at least, via from the podcast perspective. But yeah, definitely a very unfortunate situation. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really wanted to pull from here. No, I think we're good. More or less covered it, in my own way. Let's move on to a story out of Florida from NBC News. One person killed, 5 hospitalized after fiery Florida boat explosion. One person is dead and 5 others were hospitalized after a boat explosion at a marina in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on Monday, officials said. Ooh, excuse me. Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue responded to multiple 911 calls, reporting an explosion aboard a vessel at the Lauderdale Marina just before 6 p.m. They arrived to find a significant fire on one vessel that quickly spread to a second. 5 people were transported to nearby hospitals, 3 with traumatic injuries, officials said. They said that divers searched the water for one person who was missing after the blast. The Broward Sheriff's Office later found that one person deceased. The explosion was captured on an EarthCam feed set up at the marina. The video shows the moment the boat exploded and over 3 minutes of the aftermath. People can be seen running up and down the dock as the boat fire grows larger and black smoke billows into the sky. Marina Sands told NBC News South Florida that she and her family were on the boat right behind the one that exploded. I thought it was like a firecracker, but when I turned, it was a boat. We saw a lot of smoke. I was screaming, and they told us we had to get out right away. Despite those orders, Sands told NBC South Florida her and her family was trying to help rescue people from the water when the fire spread to their boat. My cousin was kneeling in front of the boat, so I ran to her and I saw that she was holding onto a girl, and the girl was kind of drowning. She was trying to put her head up so she wouldn't drown. Sands said that when she turned around, she saw another victim in the water and tried to throw him a rope. I saw that a guy was kind of fighting, trying not to drown. I got off the boat, ran to the dock, and started throwing a rope, and I was screaming. As this was happening, Sands told NBC South Florida her own boat caught fire. It started coming towards us, so the front part and side were starting to get on fire while we were still trying to get these people out of the water. So I will say that's like the amount of heroism here in that moment is cool. Like, it's amazing. Like, that's definitely, I feel like when motherfuckers even like myself talk about, the average Florida man or the average Florida story, motherfuckers like this don't get counted, and they totally should, because in the face of such danger and like, hey, you should, like, you're literally getting told by like, a law enforcement person or, someone's like, hey, this isn't safe, get out of here. And you're like, nah, I'm about to do some hero shit. I got to save these people. They're right here. I can help. And they immediately got involved. So, kudos to them. Obviously, condolences to, the person who lost their life, their families and shit like that. But, I don't know why I said shit like that, but people like that, I'm sorry. But yeah, definitely one of those things where I saw it, I was like, damn, that's crazy. Let me go ahead and talk about that a little bit. Now, we're going to segue. We're going to talk about a thing that I feel like normally I wouldn't cover. This is, I don't want to say it's pop, but we're talking like celebrity stuff. But obviously, when we have something where it's like, hey, there's sexual harassment or anything like that, I feel like it's definitely something that's going to kind of get more of my attention. And I was like, okay, maybe I can talk about this. I feel like I got enough chops to try, even though this is definitely something that's a little bit out of my range. I didn't see said movie. It Ends With Us. I'm not the biggest Blake Lively fan, but that doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, it matters what Blake Lively kind of went through in the situation. And I was like, you know what? This is making the rounds. I want to talk about it too. So yeah, from Al Jazeera. Why is Blake Lively making claims of a smear campaign against her? The It Ends With Us star is accusing co-star Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment. Hollywood star Blake Lively has filed a legal complaint against her It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldoni, accusing him of repeated sexual harassment on set and of an intensive smear campaign against her after the movie's release. Lively filed the complaint, which precedes a lawsuit, on Friday with the California Civil Rights Department, according to reports by the Associated Press news agency. Baldoni, his publicist, and senior executives of Wayfarer, Baldoni's studio behind the 2024 movie, have all been named as defendants in the complaint. I hope that my legal action helps pull back the curtain on these sinister, retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct and helps protect others who may be targeted, Lively said in a statement to journalists. Baldoni, who is known for speaking up about toxic masculinity and for supporting women, has not personally responded to the claims. His legal team, however, has called them completely false. So yeah, we're gonna be doing a little bit of reading here. Bear with me, but I feel like it's just easier to kind of stick to what they have here. I feel like it's a little bit more enlightening than me maybe trying to go off book here. The August 2024 drama is based on author Colleen Hoover's best-selling 2016 novel of the same name. Set in Boston, Massachusetts, the film follows the tale of florist Lily Bloom, played by Lively. Lily was raised by an abusive father who often hit her mother and ends up falling for and marrying neurosurgeon Ryle Kincaid, played by Baldoni. When her first love, Atlas, played by Brandon Sklenar, re-enters her life, Lily begins to see Riley's abusive side. She eventually finds the courage to leave the marriage, strengthened by the need to protect her baby girl and promising that the cycle of violence would end with her. Lively co-produced the film while Baldoni directed it. The movie was met with mixed reviews as some critics accused the makers of romanticizing domestic violence. Still, it was a box office hit, raking in $351 million worldwide while costing $25 million to make. So overall, I think that generally in terms of like Hollywood standards, that's a hit. That does well. Or that did well. Other big Hollywood names in the movie include Jenny Slate and comedian Hassan Minhaj. The guy who made a bunch of like fake stories, or at least a couple fake stories for stand-up, or at least he romanticized or embellished a bit and was like, oops, oh, my bad. Nah, I was just kind of, adding to a story. Whatever. That was a whole thing. During the film's shoot from April 2023 to early 2024, Lively made complaints that Baldoni and Wayfarer CEO Jamie Heath were violating physical boundaries and were directing sexual inappropriate comments at her, according to the legal complaint, which was obtained by the New York Times. According to the complaint, Lively expressed concerns about Baldoni before shooting began and said she objected to sex scenes he wanted to add and felt that she felt were unnecessary. Later on, she said Baldoni spoke to her about his sex life, pressured her about her religious beliefs, and called her fitness trainer regarding her post-pregnancy weight behind her back. The actress gave birth to her fourth child in February of 2023. That's crazy to just see, like, hey man, how's Blake's body been lately? Like, post baby. I cannot imagine that. That's like the most evil Hollywood shit. And just think, like, hey, like, I guess from Baldoni's perspective, like, yeah, no, like, I'm just checking on my coworker, making sure she's nice and tight for the movie, like, I gotta make sure she's good. I'm good. She's gotta be good too, right? I can't wrap my head around that. It just does not make any fucking sense. Let's see here. In November of 2023, Lively approached Wayfarer demanding safeguards be implemented on the film set. During a meeting with Baldoni, Heath, and other producers, she complained that Baldoni had improvised unwanted kissing on set and discussed his sex life, revealing details of encounters when he may not have received consent. Heath, Lively alleged, showed her a video of his naked wife and watched the star in her trailer while she undressed. Both men, she added, entered her trailer unannounced while she was undressed, including while she was breastfeeding. That's like, no, like that's insane shit. And I feel like it's one of those things where there maybe are some defenders out there. It's like, I don't understand. This feels like overblown, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, dude, when you hear the whole litany of shit, and I feel like that this shit has to be being condensed, or like there's probably even more shit, or like, who knows? Like, there's just, it feels beyond the pale. Like, it feels just as bad as any kind of other thing. Like, these guys were just trying to make this as greasy and slimy as possible. And then, let's see, Lively tries to say, hey, I want to have boundaries. Like, Wayfair agreed that both men would not be allowed into Lively's trailer, and they would no longer show or talk to Lively about nude videos or images of women or sexual experiences, genitalia, or pornography. You shouldn't have to have these kind of conversations in your workplace, but clearly Lively was put in a situation where it's like, I have to make these things official boundaries because these guys are just fucking greasing all over it, just trying to get as close as they can to me, do whatever. It's like, yeah, I have to do this. This is insane. I shouldn't have to, but I have to. Baldoni was barred from improvising sex scenes, asking about Lively's weight, pressing her on her religious beliefs, or mentioning her late father. The studio also brought on an intimacy coordinator to monitor Baldoni and Lively's scenes. It's crazy that you didn't have one, that Wayfair didn't have one already. Like, I feel like that's become a very commonplace thing in film at this point, that like you were going to have an intimacy coordinator, period, pretty much for sex scenes, but also just in general to make sure that it's like, hey, everyone's cool and on the level here, right? Like everything is copacetic, it's all vegan kosher, you know, you're not feeling uncomfortable, you're not feeling uncomfortable. It's not just for the woman, it's also for the man, everyone, like that everything is like good on set. Like it's crazy that it's like it came to that part where it's like, yeah, maybe we should have one just to make sure everything's good between the two of them. Like, come on, dog. That's already a big, like, red flag to me just there that y'all didn't have that all at the ready. According to the New York Times, Lively later told people whom she worked with that the men's behavior had changed. And this is where we get to the smear campaign aspect of it. However, Lively also alleged in Friday's legal complaint that Baldoni and Wayfair targeted her after the film's release in a sophisticated and well-financed plan to damage her reputation in retaliation for speaking up on set. Wayfair co-founder Steve Sarowitz was also named in the complaint. The actress backed up her complaint with thousands of pages of text messages and emails between Baldoni and his team that she obtained through a subpoena, according to the New York Times report. And I feel like that right there is very damning because you see how he's kind of moving throughout in terms of like these text messages to these people. And it's like, this is incriminating, dog. Like, this shows that not only you probably knew you were on the hook for being a fucking slime ball, but that you wanted to make sure that she was buried for speaking up about this, and that if she tried to say anything post the movie, that, like, no one would really want to believe her, and they would just think that she's, like, some kind of, like, I don't know, rude bitch or something like that, to that effect. And it's weird. It's so unsettling that you can kind of put out a campaign like this, and like using the words like, oh, we don't want it to like be traceable, like, and I'm finding the wrong word, I'm sure maybe we'll try to get to it, but it's gross. According to text messages, I'm trying to think, or where do we leave off here? Lively said in a complaint that Baldoni hired publicists to plant theories about her online and place news stories criticizing her. Baldoni's team created, planted, amplified, and boosted content designed to eviscerate Miss Lively's credibility, the complaint read. They engaged in the same techniques to bolster Mr. Baldoni's credibility and suppress any negative content about him. According to the text messages included with the complaint, Wayfair and Baldoni hired Melissa Nathan, a public relations crisis manager with high-profile clients, including actor Johnny Depp and rapper Drake. In their initial communication, Baldoni told Nathan he wanted a stronger PR plan than the one she had presented. He wants to feel like she can be buried, Jennifer Abel, Baldoni's publicist, later texted Nathan, according to the records and the legal complaint. Later, the PR team agreed to work on an untraceable social media strategy that would work to change narrative around Lively, painting her as a bully on set and portraying Baldoni as her victim. The team also worked to bury stories that hinted at Baldoni's alleged inappropriate behavior on set, according to the text documents. And that's what I meant. That was the word I was looking for, untraceable. Like, what do you mean? Like, the fact that it did take something like this subpoena to kind of bring something like this to light, that he was going through all of this effort, and there was so much, like, actual money put on a PR team to like say, hey, you need to make her look as bad as possible and make me look as good as possible. That is your job. I need that. Like, that's sinister. There's no other way to feel like to encapsulate or think about that. Lively did experience negative comments online after the movie's released, although it is unclear how much of that was engineered or boosted by external forces. A marketing firm Lively hired produced a report in August that concluded she was likely the subject of a multi-channel online attack. Critics accuse her of being tone deaf because in several appearances she wore floral colors in line with the style of her character in the film. Many also accused her of failing to promote advocacy against domestic violence and media campaign for the movie. But at the same time, it could be added that that would have happened intrinsically with or without the campaign. You know, I mean, we live in the age of 2024 where there's always an online discourse and there's always someone who can say like, hey, this could have been done or, you know, executed better. This, that, or the third. Or I'm mad about this. I can't believe she wore a floral dress or something and had the audacity. And then they just start a whole TED talk on Reddit or something. So I could be convinced that this is a natural thing, but I could definitely be convinced after seeing those text messages that like, oh, this could have easily been some kind of plant or setup person to be like, hey, I'm going to write the worst crazy sounding thing, or you know, maybe excuse me, maybe I shouldn't speak on that to call it crazy. I'm just gonna say the most wildest outlandish shit and just say, man, Blake Lively, do better, you know. And you just get multiple motherfuckers to do that kind of shit. It gets a bunch of upticks or votes or likes or whatever, and people start rinsing repeating that behavior. You know, it creates its own kind of fucking trend, and it's like, this isn't a fucking trend. It's one, a subject in and of itself when we're talking about domestic violence. I don't think it's something you should make light of. But it also is a person's career. And you're saying, hey, we're trying to essentially sabotage that shit so that, you know, your complaints, your, you know, real grievances are just not talked about. Like that's crazy maneuvering. Social media users began reposting instances of Lively being rude or ungracious in the past. In one instance, Norwegian entertainment reporter Kristi Fla re-uploaded a 2016 interview she conducted with Lively on YouTube. In the clip, Lively had snapped at the reporter for commenting on the actor's baby bump. Flaw has since said her actions were not part of an orchestrated campaign. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, that part right there is really what like was the thing that I like made me want to go, oh, I do want to cover this, because that's crazy to me. And I don't know, I'm not a Flaw enjoyer. I don't know her. I haven't, you know, seen any of her content or whatever. But I feel like you're putting two perspectives here. Two, like, there's two ways to think about how this went down, right? Why she would re-upload this. Either the one, she is involved in this in some way. Like, Baldoni's people came out and reached out to her, said, hey, you might get a little chunk of change if you do some shit like this. And she said, all right, bet. All right, I don't fuck with this motherfucker. Or two, she saw the wind. She saw the changes. She said, hey, ooh, it looks like it's hate on Blake Lively season, and I got a fucking doozy of a clip that I could fucking rant on. And she fucking re-uploads it for fucking clout, for fucking clicks. I don't like either of these options, so I'm sorry. I gotta send Fla to Tomato Town, I think. I think you could, boo, tomato. What are you doing? Like, it's 2016. You don't need to re-upload that. Like, stand on business. You let the clicks come from themselves. But no, you wanted to farm that shit. Hey, people are hating on Blake? Let me go. XOXOXO. Like, I don't like that. And I'm saying this as a person who really doesn't give a flying shit about Blake Lively. Like, I was not a Gossip Girl enjoyer, and Blake was not my thing. She just wasn't. But at the end of the day, she's a human fucking being, and I think that that's crazy to kind of say, hey, now's my time to, like, really focus my shit so that I can get some money. You know what I mean? I don't know. That didn't sit well with me, and I was like, yeah, no, now I'm kind of interested. Baldoni has not responded personally to the allegations. Brian Friedman, an attorney representing him, Wayfair and its top executives, has pushed back against Lively's claims, saying they are completely false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious. Friedman said Lively had threatened not to appear on set or promote the film if her requests were not attended to. I think that's fair. Wayfair, he added, had hired a crisis manager to proactively address what he had described as multiple demands and threats. So essentially just trying to villainize how Lively went about this and say, like, actually, she's the bad guy and we were just being on the defensive here. Lively's complaint alleges that Baldoni played a key role in PR campaign against her, encouraging his team and flagging sample social media posts for it to use. At times, however, the text reviewed by the New York Times showed he also voiced concerns about articles critical of Lively. And this is a quote here. How can we say somehow that we are not doing any of this? It looks like we are trying to take her down. Yeah, dude, that's what you just asked of these people to do, and they are doing a crack job of it. Like, he's almost like saying, like, damn, like, I can't, like, well, I think it's not even that he's upset about the outcome there. I think he's upset that it almost looks too obvious. Like, people are going to start asking questions and start trying to connect dots here with the amount we're hitting this, at how hard we're hitting this. And it's like, brother, you can't have it both ways. I'm sorry that you think that you have a bunch of money and you can just make the perfect crimes. That's just not how this fucking works. Sorry, bro. Hey, yeah. Let's see here. It does seem like I'm actually gonna go into a little bit of rant mode here. Colleen Hoover does seemingly support Lively here. She's not following Baldoni. I mean, obviously, we're getting into the social weeds here, but she has labeled Lively as an honest, kind, supportive, and patient person. But she stopped sort of commenting directly on the allegations about Baldoni. Other co-stars have also come out in her defense, which I think is good. I think that is, really good to see. But yeah, it's just really one of those grimy things that you see in Hollywood, and it goes to show that this is still a post Me Too world, but the same kind of shit's gonna go down. You're still gonna see the same kind of like just gross, unacceptable behavior, and to see someone proactively, someone in a group, essentially with these executives and other people involved, try to cover it up and once again throw a suppression slash smear campaign on their fellow coworker, their co-star. It's wild shit. And also to close out on this before I move on to our last thing, bro's outfit in the thumbnail picture is wild to me. Like, I feel this way about that outfit the way my friends feel about me when I wear my trench coat and my track pants and my little boots or some shit, maybe a little beanie or something. The revulsion I felt looking at this dude in some unicorn ass pajamas and a nice ass fucking coat. Like, I don't like, what were you doing, bro? What was happening there? The fit is insane, and I don't mean that in a good way, derogatory. So yeah, I mean, dude's making all kinds of offenses. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. I'm not a Baldoni enjoyer, that's for sure. After this, but I do have to add, I did not see the movie, but apparently good reviews. Maybe go see it. It ends with us. But yeah, we're not ending with that. I have one more story I wanted to get into, so let's go ahead and take our last break, and we'll go ahead and close it out. All right. Ooh. So we've been gifted with a nice little story to close out. I dare I say good news in these dark times. From The Guardian. Baby mammoth in Russia is the best preserved ever found. Russian scientists have displayed the remarkably well preserved remains of a baby mammoth found in the permafrost covered region of Yakutia in Siberia. The 50,000-year-old female mammoth has been nicknamed Yana after the river in whose basin it was discovered this summer. Experts say it is the best preserved mammoth carcass in the world and is one of only 7 whole remains ever found. Studies will be carried out to work out her exact age at death, estimated at 1 year old or a bit more. The carcass was shown at Northeastern Federal University in the regional capital of Yakutsk, the institution said in a statement. We were all surprised by the exceptional preservation of the mammoth, said the university rector Atanolyi Nikoliev. Maxim Sherpazov, a researcher, said it was a unique discovery. The remains weigh 397 pounds and are 4 feet tall and 200 centimeters long. The carcass was dug up near the Batagika, I'm totally sailing through this, research station, where the remains of other prehistoric animals, including a horse, a bison, and a lemming, have been found. Before this discovery, only 6 mammoth carcasses have been found in the world, 5 in Russia and 1 in Canada, the university said. Yakutia is a remote region bordering the Arctic Ocean. Its permafrost acts like a giant freezer that preserves the remains of prehistoric animals. So yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. You literally get to see this guy, and he's like pretty whole chunks, or gal, I should say, Yana. And yeah, I just thought this was a really cool discovery, so I wanted to get around to covering that. But yeah, that's where I will leave it for today. Excuse me. I know it went a little bit longer because I wanted to kind of read and get some of these stories, more correct, or just kind of let more of the story speak, because maybe my dumbass maybe just shouldn't. Sometimes I try to shut up and let the story do the talking. When I have the time, when I can try to make the time, you feel me? But yeah, that's the episode for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, become a newsie today, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Let's see. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. And hopefully subscribe to the YouTube. It's free to do. And hit the like, leave a cool comment, and sharing is caring. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.